This book was a doozy. I was not expecting this from 1922. But before I get into that, you guys, what's up? Chet Guthrie, the Dream Poet here, coming to you all with day 270 of my vlogging experience here in the state of Florida. Over the last couple of hours, I have finally finished a book that I've been wanting to read for a while. Reason being is the story I am working on will probably be the size of this novella. It's basically a small novel, short novel, but I came across this in mid-November and I asked for it as a Christmas present. But for such a short story, well, Stephen King wise, compared to, let me find it. Hold up. Salem's Lot, 660 something pages versus 130. This packs quite a wallop. It's like a short kid that you don't mess with and they turn around and they will punch you right in the gut. But I will go over a review on what this book is about. The year is 1922, and Wilfred James and his wife Arlette are having a major confrontation on wanting to sell their land. His wife, Arlette, has 100 acres while he's got 80. She wants to sell all of the land and move to Omaha, Nebraska. I believe it was Omaha, but from there she wanted to open up her own dress shop. But Will's not having that. He does not want that, period. She wants to sell her land to the Farrington Company, which is this hog butchering plant up the road or up the river. And if they do that, then there's going to be nothing but pig guts flowing down the river. And really, Wilfred does not want to move to the city. He is a farmer. And throughout this story, he talks about how important a man's land is to him. And how much a man is willing to go to keep his land. And somehow, by some strange urge, he gets his son Henry in on it and convinces him to commit a murder towards his mother. Now, Arlette in this story is very conniving, I'll be point blank, I know I'm going to swear in this vlog, a bitch. I mean, one of the things that Wilfred kind of describes her as is if she didn't like something, she would just kind of turn her face and just like, more or less. But when he and Henry commit the murder, they slash her to pieces. And that's within the first few pages of the book. And then he buries her, or throws her in the well. And from there, the Farrington Company comes knocking at his door, trying to figure out, where is she? And he has come up with an idea to make sure it looks like she ran off, went to the middle of nowhere, and he plans it very well. What he did is he took her shoes, he took one of her dresses, all her important jewelry, a picture of her family, put it all in a suitcase, and threw it down the well where her body was. And honestly, I love how Stephen King describes Arlette's body. I know that's kind of sick. Her decomposition, just the sight of her decomposing face, it is maddening to Wilfred, and it drives him crazy, but throughout the story, it gets progressively worse. Like, honestly, this feels like a curse. And near the end of the book, one of the people that Wilfred is trying to sell the land to says the land is cursed. So it only makes that much sense. But Henry, which starts out as a very religious child, not long after killing his mother or assisting the killing, he turns into an atheist, which is kind of an interesting twist, but it progresses into something worse. The girl that he has fallen in love with, the Corderoys, which he was seeing their daughter, he gets her pregnant, and then they practically drive off, and they become the Sweetheart Bandits. While all this is going on, Wilford is losing his mind. One part of the story that he sees is the rat. There's a major rat, a big rat, chewing on one of his prized cow's teats. And what has happened is this rat has ripped the cow's udder off and then scurried away. I think he killed it. I don't know. But he killed it, and thankfully there wasn't an infection, because he puts this kind of salve on the cow's teat, but it kind of leads to some irony there. Later on the book, his hand gets chewed up by a rat, and he thinks the same thing will happen to him. He will be okay. He actually describes visualizing his red blood cells, his body, as like little firemen coming to help him. But that doesn't happen. A big winter sets in, completely wipes everything out. He is stuck in the house by himself. He's losing his mind. His hand is swollen. It's getting bad. It's gangrene. And one of the favorite moments that I have to say about this story is Artlet comes back. Now Stephen King didn't describe or say that it was physical or a delusion, but it kind of suggests that it may have happened, because Artlet was telling Wilford things that only a quote-unquote dead woman would know. She told him about what was going to happen to Shannon and Henry, the Sweetheart Bandits, which later on in the story they did get killed. It's just like this one is a page turner. Like, if you're not careful, you could probably sit and read this whole thing in a day. But as Wilford's finishing out his confession, what he has done is he actually lost the farm. He's in Omaha, Nebraska. He's living in a hotel. He manages to skim by with a few jobs. He's lost his hand for the most part. He lost his property. I believe it got sold to the Farrington Company, ironically, for pennies on the dollar, super cheap. And he just describes how the rats just keep coming. And this kind of is a symbol of grief, or a symbol of guilt, I should say, that once something happens, especially a murder, it does not leave your conscience. It just keeps going and growing and growing. Actually, one of the things I like how Henry described is it will not stop. Once you say, this is it, the next thing happens. And another quote that I like is how committing the deed sounds so much better than actually doing it. Because of Artlet's murder, this sends everything in motion on a downhill spiral, where at the end of the book, Wilford is finishing up his confession, but a few days later, after nobody can get a hold of him, the front desk is trying to get a hold of him, but he's not answering. They open the front door, and they find out that he's bit his wrists, like he's bitten himself all over. So essentially, because of his own guilt, he has driven himself crazy. Which, to me, I just absolutely love the idea. I know it sounds kind of screwed up, but honestly, you guys, this one was a good one. And the whole reason, like I said, why I wanted to read it is because this is probably about the same size that my book is going to be. I know I've described my book before, but imagine a 1920s gangster moonshine run thrown into the world of The Conjuring. Didn't think that one through, would you? I'm 85 pages in. I'm about to hit 90. One of the major things that I have left that still needs to get done is to just to build on to the story of the beginning. Add about 30 pages, and that way it sets everything in motion. Once you go into the mountains of Rockington, Georgia, you are seeing a total hellhole. And one of the things that I feel is kind of a bad thing is one thing happens right after another, but after reading this story and how it's kept plain and simple, I might be okay. Granted, I will probably be done with my story by the end of this month. Well, probably by the end of February. And then I'm really going to start asking various close friends, family members who love reading to read it and just to answer what things that they didn't like about it. But I know I've talked a lot about this. This was my vlog. After work, I sat down and I read this thing for 2 hours straight. And I loved it. I loved it. Thank you, cousin, for buying it for me, because this was awesome, you guys. So if you're a Stephen King fan, you have not read this book, do it. If you have seen the Netflix version of it, like Netflix, they did, I believe it was either a film or a miniseries on it. I'm not going to reveal details on that because, I mean, it looks like the Netflix series stayed really close with the book. But you guys, I'm putting that down. It's been a long day. I had originally intended to do something really cool for my vlog, but I'm sorry. I just had to sit down and read this thing. I was about 90 pages finished, and I was like, you know what? I just want to knock this thing out. I'm that interested in it. But you guys, that is my vlog for the day. Remember, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. That will keep you in the loop on daily content of my life here in the state of Florida. Stay posted, stay tuned, keep in touch with me at Dream Poet at Facebook, as well as my Instagram in the links below. Thank you all for the love and support. Love you all very much. Peace, you guys.